Alright, so today is going to be another episode that is going to sort of go hand in hand with the Enderman perimeter we did a little bit a while ago now. We had the nether-based Enderman farm. It was actually very, very fast. 190,000 Ender pearls per hour is absolutely crazy. The thing about that, that was a farm made in the nether. Now, Elyrio did some testing, and this also works for skeletons in the nether as well. Not wither skeletons, regular skeletons that spawn in the Soul Sand Valley. Now, from their testing, what they could tell is that it doesn't work with gas substantially like it did with the Enderman and the skeletons here. So, yeah, we already have, countless ways to get bones and all this kind of stuff, but it's a really fun farm. Trust me, it's going to be worth it. And what better way to start it off than by doing a manual mining project for this? You can see we've been at this for about a month or so now, and getting the first clip here as we are sort of at a good point in this project. You can see we have a lot of stuff dug out on the sides and above as well. We're getting into mainly the big air levels where there's a lot of emptiness with the nether and the Soul Sand Valley, and nether waste being a very good provider of that, unlike the biome over here with the basalt delta that I believe Rubik has pretty much cleared out, so we don't get to worry about that down the line. That is all taken care of thanks to Rubik. And Rubik also likes to do this in little segments here, so that's why all these ones are dug down to bedrock, even the lava in the middle here. It's a good thing for motivation, I think, to do it in segments like this. That way you can kind of actually see your project visually. But if you were to mine it layer by layer, it gets very daunting at times, especially the topmost layers where it's all the full solid netherrack or whatever blocks. There's no air whatsoever in these top like 10 layers or so, usually in these biomes here. So yeah, very good progress here. Close to 3.5 million in netherrack. I think Rubik is catching me on the total blocks mined. And I actually didn't even realize this, but I hit 12.8 million, so that's pretty good here. So we'll keep working at this. We have some cool decoration planned for the floor. I don't entirely have an idea what we're going to do for the walls yet. We are probably going to plan on breaking the bedrock as well. Obviously, it's needed for the farm, but it might be nice to break the full bedrock above this shape we're doing here. You can kind of make it out. It's a bit difficult, but it's pretty straightforward in terms of what's being done here. It's a skulls pattern here. You can kind of make sense of that around here. But yeah, I mean, it'll look pretty cool in the end, but you can never go wrong with just slapping on a movie, getting some blocks destroyed here, and moving along. So gonna repair pickaxes in a little bit. Shovels actually go pretty quickly with the Soul Sand Valleys. There's actually a lot of soul soil in this area. But yeah, I'll get back to it. Back. Alright, so as you saw from that final time lapse there, we got the full area all cleared out and mined down to bedrock. This has taken quite a while, but we got pretty much from that little section we had left. We were at like Y105, I think, a few days ago. Then we all just kind of got on the server and started just mining the rest of it out. So we had it all done in a couple, like 2 or 3 days or so. We got the rest of that all the way down to bedrock, which is pretty crazy considering how long it took us to get to that spot in the first place. But yeah, it's all done and dusted. Now I have to do the bedrock breaking for the farm. You can see the area that I marked out. So this is the required bedrock breaking for the actual farm. So I'm only going to break 3 layers on the last one, so I'm only going to do 4 layers of 3-way bedrock breaking, and then I'll do the last one with 3 different 1-way bedrock breakers, since that should be pretty easy to do. But yeah, that's what those markers are for, so I'm going to get that built up. I have a bunch of stuff over here with pistons and whatnot. I was originally going to do all of them with 1-way bedrock breakers, then I realized I forgot to count the overhead, which is those 4 blocks there on every side, so it would have been about 15 per layer, and that just gets a little out of hand with those 1-way breakers because you can't stack them next to each other. So we're just going to just do the 3-way bedrock breaker for the first 4, and then I'll use the 1-way, 1-ways for the last layer there. But yeah, so I'm going to try to get that done. Then I'll hopefully try to get a time lapse of the farm. I don't really want to do the bedrock break because it's going to be very hard to see everything, because I will be basically building a bedrock break and letting it run and then having to tear it down and then build the next one. It's not going to be like the enderman one where I can just make it this way, as it's not as wide. It's only about like 15 or so this way, but it's 256 blocks long that way. So I'll pretty much be just building one at a time, so it'll be not as cool as the enderman one that I did. If you haven't seen that, make sure you go click that video. This farm's using the same sort of concept as that one. This is just a single dimension farm, or rather than it being a dual dimension farm, so we can use the full spawn-in range for the hostile mobs, rather than just the 2x2 that we'd use for the enderman, because we needed to transmit them all into one overworld portal, so we had to do that. So yeah, I'm gonna get started with this now. I'll see when I'm gonna stream. It might be both. It might just be the farm itself. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, let's get to it. Alright, so I'm just getting back. Needed to get a couple more boxes of speed potions to finish some of the floor decoration. Rubik already has the walls completely done. So I wanted to step over to our potion brewer, get a couple of speed 2 potions. I will then brew that one there. Now that we have this all finished, it's also really nice to get a bunch of potions like that. The chunk loader going. Looks like that's in action, so we should be getting some bottles and whatnot here. You can hear it going there. Go. All of them are getting started there. So the way this brewer works is it's a sequential one, so it starts this one, a little bit later starts this one, and that one, so it'll brew a whole shulker box pretty much in the same time that it takes to brew one ingredient. We'll see that make its way down here, and that way we're able to get a shulker box of potions in about 21 or 22 seconds or so, which is kind of crazy. You need with any modifiers onto it as well. And we'll get our box displayed right here in a second. There we go. And we got our full box speed 2 potions, just like that. So I'm going to just swap these out from my shulker box one that I keep in my ender chest. That way I always have that on me, and then I'll take this back up top, chuck it in there for future use, and then it can brew a lot of them. If you can put a whole queue in here, you can have it restock the main storage over here, or the bulk. But it's kind of just nice to just brew it one at a time. So it's also not cooler to see in action, and then it got a little bit of a fade out timer here that'll go off. But it's all chunk loaded, so it'll turn itself off momentarily. So I'm gonna make my way back over to the skeleton. That way we can finish the floor. I got to do a little bit of glass in. I got all of the stuff in as well for the rest of it. So we got all that taken care of, and we're actually not going to break the full bedrock roof. We decided that it's just going to be super tedious project just to break that. And we only need the small section above the farm itself. So we're going to do a long That was weird. Cannon's configured in the correct orientation. I just got like stuck there. I don't know why. Well, what I was saying is it's gonna be gonna have a long strip of bedrock broken there. That way it's just above the farm and what's necessary. And I think that still could look really cool. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. I think I shot the right direction. Okay, yeah, I did. And just like that, I've flown 9,000, 10,000 blocks, but I also looked up in the meantime, so I am at Y1500, so I got a nosedive down a little bit to get back down to this area. And there we go, you can see it coming into shape. So we were going to break that full shape right there for the bedrock. It's just going to be a super hassle. It's 10 breakers per layer, all different spots. So it's going to take a long time. So we're going to do the same thing we did for the bottom. I'm going to break a bit of a larger area than we did down here to fit the farm. And you can see I got all this stuff down here. All in place like this on the stream yesterday, all the bedrock breaking below. You can see if I go down here, all the bedrock breaking to get this down to Y0. And the Y0 bedrock is just a single strip for hoppers and a couple of droppers. So that one's really easy to do. Just a simple one-way breaker to do that. And then you only need to break roughly 3 or so for this one. Well, technically 5 to fit the one-way breaker for this one. You could break this all manually, of course, if you wanted to, but definitely it's worth it to just do the 5 as just 2 extra one-way breakers. And the rest of them I did with a 3-way breaker by Desu. Now we have all that in there. We also have the float and fire suppression, which I also did do on stream. Pretty much just a butted line next to the soul fire here. That way you can also place all that up there. You can use this farm with lava. I wanted to use the soul fire because it looks a lot cooler than lava and also blends a lot better. So yeah, I got all this glass up here that I got all that finalized, and now we're going to actually break the actual farm up. But I want to get the rest of this glass before we do that, so I wanted to go brew another shulker box of those speed 2 potions. It's a lot better than having to make beacons everywhere just for speed, just for temporary things, so yeah, that's going to happen there. So you can see the wall decoration as well. Got the black, white to black, and then we're also going to, because we're not going to break the full bedrock roof, we're going to use the floor on the roof again. And that way we can have it up there as well, and that'll cover the roof, make it look very clean up there as well. So we're going to break a strip. Let me see the schematic for the farm again. Just want to go up to the leaf layer, as that is the more annoying one. So actually, this is the wrong one. It's V5 I want. I changed that to obsidian, then placed glass on top of it. Just because I think it looks a lot better. It blends well with the color scheme, and having just leaves in this white and black area would be a little bit weird. So probably break fully up to this spot here and this spot here, as that's the farthest part of the farm. And that is 18 blocks wide, so we should be able to get a full bedrock breakers over here. And not do that. We might go a little bit further depending on the schematic for the breaker. This one breaks 22. So that's like, I don't think that's the minimum it can break. I think it's probably the least you're going to want to do, and I think the same I did for the enderman farm. It'll actually be pretty easy to build the rest of this farm that I look at it now. The only annoyance that I did is I replaced the leaves up here with candles, because they can't be like obsidian here, otherwise I would have to put glass on top of that. And the same thing for here. If I put obsidian up here, I would have to put glass on top of that, and it would also raise the height map of the farm. So we didn't want to do that, and candles are pretty much the only option that we can do besides like enchantment tables or something like that, just because of the aspects of the block. But then that would look weird because they have a lot of blue and red in them, so it wouldn't fit the best. So I think that the obsidian with the glass and then the white candles as a bit of an accent on there will turn out very, very clean. So got a lot to do. I will plan on I will at the very least plan on getting a time lapse for the farm here. It is New Year's Eve, so I do plan to stream quite long today. So we may get the full roof broken in the rest of that stream, as I think that is very much doable if we're going to break it this way. I should be able to get all 5 breakers running at the same time with this length here. So that could be a very cool time lapse as well. So we'll try to do that on top of everything here and see how it goes. And we might even get the decoration built on the edges as well, since we really only need to worry about the strip down the middle. But the rest of the decoration on the roof can be done, as that's not going to interfere with anything with bedrock brigands, because we're not going to be breaking the full bedrock roof. Yeah, we'll quit rambling, get to hopefully a time lapse to build in the farm here, and maybe even a time lapse of the bedrock brigand, as that could look really cool. Alright, so a little while later, and the farm is fully functional here. We got the decoration all completed as well. We just broke the full strip right over top of the farm. Yes, it's not centered. It's a bit unfortunate, but it's fine. You know, you don't really gotta look up there too much, and if you do, it still looks pretty cool. So I did do this little, you know, like crossing pattern here. Also continued it up onto the roof as well. That is, of course, all spawn-proofed, and I did go back across, and that is clear glass, but I did spawn-proof the remaining top bit over here of the despawn sphere for the actual player, because the roof is built 2 blocks below. If we were smart, we would have built it right flush with the bedrock. Early manual mining days, but that was a second site there, and we never really went back to fix that. But yeah, this is the farm here by Elyrio. We got all the suppressed fire down here as well. Like I said, you could use lava, but I think the fires looks a lot cleaner overall. And yeah, everything gets funneled down to the hopper line down here, where we send them up these hopper lines that are just constantly clocking to pulse all the items up here, and then into the 2 6x looters. I think this is probably overkill, but we do have it. So what we have here is just a alternating slime block thing. So in case we get anything, you know, so in case we get a huge influx of items and these 3 hoppers for them can't pick it up, it'll just go over here and then get shot back this way. Not a great solution, but it does work, and, you know, fits in a relatively small area, which is what I'm really concerned about. But yeah. Later on, this farm was designed by Elyrio, of course, but when we were using the farm, we noticed that these lightning rods can get in the wrong state at times, depending on the toggling of the farm. Like if a mob spawns, like just as this thing is retracting back up, this could get out of sync. So what I added here is this little top observer line here that goes down occasionally with attached this hopper clock down here. So this one is the one that flushes the actual module itself if there is a mob that gets stuck in here because of the tripwire. So that obviously that would be out of sync. So this one goes down here to flush the mob out. And then this one, a little bit of delay later, goes back across to make sure that this piston pushes a lightning rod back down. In that way, you know, nothing breaks overall. It is toggle state, so, you know, Elyrio did say they wanted to maybe rewire this at some point, but nobody's going to use it from here. Go right here. This lightning rod is in the wrong state. So occasionally we'll get that signal that will go across up top and push this back down, because this module will not work correctly. As you can see, the mob died on top of there because it was out of sync. So there we go. The lightning rod got pushed back down. So now when the next mob that spawns here, the items will actually get collected. You can see it's not perfect because, you know, we don't activate that thing all too often, but the next mob here, items got sent right into the hoppers just as they should. So small design, you know, flaw here, but it can be fixed. Not perfectly, but it does get fixed over time. So, you know, nobody's gonna be making this farm anyway, and it's definitely not worth the effort. As you can see, this farm is 256 blocks long in a very narrow area. So there's not really that many spawning pads, because you really have to limited by the chunk borders and stuff, but it is pretty fast. I'm going to test the rates again, and I will be posting this in the public archive of the Discord. So if you did wanted to actually, you know, get your hand on the schematic, I doubt you're going to want to do that. But if you for some reason wanted to, then this will be for you. I'm not going to include the storage. The storage will be totally up to you. And yeah, full project is completed. I don't have the black slime texture pack on, which makes this thing look a lot cooler. But I love how I was able to like get the collection down in below the decoration, so this just looks like a really short farm, even though it's kind of tall. But yeah, the candle is obviously not a fun thing to do, but if you have after clicker, it's pretty easy to do. You can see here, this is the other small minor flaw with the reset. It doesn't get it until the next cycle, so I could maybe try to increase the speed of this hopper clock down here, but it's not really worth it because you would lose a lot more spawning attempts there to begin with the flushing, as it does take a while to propagate the way down. So I'm going to take this a little bit down here. I think we've ran it a little bit, not too much. So we got 2 shulkers of bones and 4 shulkers of arrows, which is actually pretty decent. Pretty decent overall in terms of everything down here. And lossing the bedrock down here was not fun, to say the least, because of the bedrock breakers looking over the overhead here. I'm going to go back here a lot and clear a lot of blocks out, but we got it done in the end. Yeah, overall, interesting concept. Practicality, not very high, but a cool concept overall. So huge thanks to Elyrio for designing this thing and allowing us to use it with all their help, with the positioning and all that kind of stuff. So that's it for this episode. Make sure you like, subscribe, all sorts of things, and I'll see you in the next one.